Hello gents, welcome back to the Long Range Corner with your host Matthew Bardeen. We are here today. What we're going to be doing today is continuing on building my my QAV540 that we started last week. Not going to get too far today, basically because I'm still so I'm waiting on specifically the TBS core and the 2.4 video transmitter. So I've got both of those en route. They should be here within next week, so probably the week next week we'll actually finish up this build. So, but basically I wanted to continue on. Not going to do too much. I did do a little bit over the since I last left you. Let me show you what I've actually accomplished. Hopefully there's somebody out there. Say hello if you're out there. So I went ahead and soldered on an XT60. This is probably going to get removed once we actually get the core PNP Pro in. I'm going to actually solder that in direct. And I went through, I Loctited all of the screws because that's important. These are metal standoffs. They're in little aluminum standoffs, and the arms are aluminum as well. So actually doing Loctite on these is important. Otherwise they will work themselves out through vibration. So important details. And I installed the anti-vibration mounts. You can see these here, the little orange bobbins here. These in the version 1 had a tendency to break of the QAV. They have revised it. The version 2, this is the version 2. It has a carbon fiber plate. That's a version 2, and carbon fiber side plates there. So those are all features of the version 2. So these little standoffs here are to help prevent separation in the event of a crash. So you won't rip these orange bobbins. So they did a little bit of an update on this. Let's see, I think it goes around that way. So that's basically what I've done. Not really too much. And you can see it just sits in there nicely. And when you move it, it basically, when you hit something, it gets stopped by these standoffs. So that's what's going on. So we're going to build the rest of this out. I've got the FPV cam. I've got the KISS that I need to wire up. And apart from that, that's basically what we're going to cover tonight. The other thing I'm going to do tonight, apart from building this out, is we're going to check out Hazard FPV sent me this, which is a light kit. So he's got some EL wire in here and some LEDs in here. So I'm going to take a look at this at some point. Maybe open this up and show you what's in it, and yeah, we'll see how see what it looks like. And of course, I don't know if you guys follow my Instagram, but just recently made a bunch of purchases of 6-inch props. So we have the tried and true 6x4.5 HQs here. We have the new 6x3x3s HQs here that I've been using on my X24, the 6-inch X24. I have just got in the alt props 6040Cs. We'll see how these work. And rounding out the selection, Lumineer gate breakers 6x5x3s. So these are on the high end of pitch. So we're going to look at these in terms of efficiency and vibrations and see which one is better. Well, that's what I'm going to do in the future. I'm going to do some experimenting and figure out which one is best. And to round off things, I've got this HQ 6x4x4s or 6x4x3s coming as well. And if I did everything right, if I crossed my dots, or crossed my T's and dotted my I's, I will have some of the new HQ7 by 3.5 by 3s coming soon. So we'll keep our fingers crossed for that. So that's what's coming up. But today, yep, we're going to start with the good old QAV540. See how it works. How are you guys doing this week? Hopefully pretty good. Adjust this up. I'm going to switch this over. Gimbal on this one, I'm not sure. Flux. I might not. Basically, my plan right now is put one of these on it, a little session things. I had to modify it a little bit so it sits, but that should sit right in there nicely. If I do put a gimbal on it, it will be the wearable gimbal that I have. I have a little wearable gimbal for the session, so I can use that and stick that on there if I do put a gimbal. So those are my two options. I'm not sure which I'm going to do. We'll see. The flight controller is a KISS FC. So let's get into this. Let me transfer you here. Hopefully you can see me, or see at least the quad setup. Let's see here. Apologize for the weird angle, but it's what it is. Need to get a better camera set up here. Yeah. So this is pretty much like I left it last week. Let me show you. Grab a battery here. I did test it out. I wanted to test out to see if you guys back up here, chats. Hello, Havoc. Yeah, that's a big bird. QAV540. So I wanted to check to see if the LEDs came on, and lo and behold, if you plug it in, the LEDs come on. So evidently they've got some voltage regulation on board for these LEDs, since this is a 4S battery and they haven't died yet. So that's cool. That means like I don't have to do a lot of work when I want to do follows and stuff like that. So that little extra feature there. I will give QAV1 or Luminaire one thing: they know how to build power distribution boards. It's really nice. This is actually a 2014 board. Yeah, so you can see the LEDs there. Yeah, good. I'm just watching delayed here. So let's get into this. What I want to do, since this is dirty clean frame, I want to have something that can separate for my flight controller. I don't want to wear the power in direct. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the little red connectors. I think I have some up here. Completely unprepared for this, but little red JST connectors. So we're going to use some of those, and we're going to build a little wiring harness here. So this will, I'll run one connector up from here, probably one of these connections here, and I'm going to run that up into terminating one of these, and that will go to the flight controller. Let me unscrew this so you can actually see this. You don't actually, those session mounts, you don't need those. Look, Isle of Mull. Right there, you can turn it on. I don't have my session here handy, but right there is the power switch. So yes, you can turn these on without having to take the session out of the mount. These I got from, if I recall correctly, Creative Decks. This is a Creative Decks mount, so you can see the little, maybe you can see that. There's a little mustache there. He's known for his mustache. I met him in Hawaii, and he gave me a couple. Actually, he gave me one freebie. Yeah, so here there's a kiss. So I'm going to run, basically, goes the other way around, I think. Yeah. So I'm going to run a little detachable lead up through here and maybe through here, and it will power the KISS FC, and it will power the camera. Or no, actually no, it's not even going to. The record button and the turn on button is the same on the session. You just hit the button and it turns on and starts recording. The settings, yeah, that's on the back. So yeah, if you want to change settings, stuff like that, then you actually have to take it out. But who wants to change settings? Yeah, so this is basically the plan with the flight controller. As you can see here, there was a Pixhawk previously. So that's why we've got the leftover foam mounts, and it's a pain to get off, so I just left it on there. Yeah, recycling. So yeah, brand new KISS FC here. We need to solder in a power lead here and solder in a power lead there, and that will be the power lead for the KISS FC. Everything else will be run off the Core PNP Pro. The Core PNP Pro gives you 12 volts or 5 volts out for your camera. We'll probably use 12 volts out for the camera. It uses, it will power the flight or the VTX and itself, basically through a piggyback lead on the XT60, which we will remove and make decent, make sexy. So that's basically the idea. That's what we're going to do. All we have to do tonight is, it's actually pretty simple, to be honest. Just power this in and then put in the leads here for the KISS, the ESCs on the KISS. So let's get to it. First off, we need some cable, obviously. Let's see if I got good cable here. So here I've got probably Luminaire, something from Luminaire here. Connector, and it's got nice silicone wires. With the KISS, you don't need a lot of power, so we're just going to rub that. That means I don't have to actually fiddle and make the connector. And we don't need a lot here. Probably not that much. So that's one connector. I'll probably actually leave that on the KISS side. Yeah, well, that will be on the KISS side, and then we'll make a connector here for on the other side. So how are you guys this evening? How's your week been? Mole, I think I've actually seen that you've flown. I didn't actually see the flight. But I saw that you did do some flying. I've been rather inattentive to YouTube recently. I've been working on some house projects. Unfortunately, my time for the past couple of years has been spent pretty much exclusively mucking about in FPV and not doing stuff in the house. And as always, entropy marches on. Therefore, yeah, I need to actually spend some time now and fix stuff that has gone wrong in the house. Joy of joys. Buying a Foxer Predator Mini. Yeah, those look nice. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about those, the minis. I haven't been really paying attention to them. I suppose I should build out a small frame at some point, like a mini frame, but yeah, well, been lazy. It's my curse. Seem to have been very lazy recently. Probably don't need such a big tip here. Yeah, there's a QAV540. Power down. I probably put it on backwards, but that's okay. Yep, I did. In terms of upside down instead of right side up. So we're going to pre-tin all the bits here for the PWMs. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to do that. That's actually a mistake. That's actually a mistake. Because, unlike most other builds, I'm actually going to use a pin here. There. That should work. So, usually I don't bother with this, but this is a fairly special build, so with the quad being so big, having pin headers or not having pin headers is inconsequential in terms of weight, and this makes things a little bit easier and safer for if the quad crashes. So if the quad crashes and the bits do separate, the idea is the JST connectors will come off of this, will separate and not damage, not pull the pads off. That's the theory anyway. What's probably going to happen is it's going to just destroy everything. But, you know, I changed out my Runcam split 1s to the split 2s. Well, I only had one split 1, but I changed that out to the split 2. Principally because I was having large issues. Yeah, this tip is too big. I was having issues with flashes and corruption on the video, firstly, and then once I swapped the swapped out the cables. So I swapped the short cable for the longer cable, and I started having a really nasty lag on the camera. So at that point I decided, yeah, I like the concept of the split. Let's see if the split 2 does any better. So I went out and got the split 2. I've actually got 2 of them. I think I mentioned that previously. So yeah, that should be better. What other news? Maybe you guys can tell me what's going on. I feel out of it. I'm so busy around the house. Haven't had a lot of time to keep track of what's going on in the world of FPV. What new products have come out? Saw Trappy teasing something for next week. He said it's going to come out on, or it's going to be announced on the 14th. Speculation is that it's a micro crossfire, like even smaller than the micro RX that we have now. Nano crossfire. Yeah, I heard about that. Kalman filters. Yeah, I've seen that as well. I had the impression that they stopped using the Kalman filters. Did they not? I know they were in one beta and then afterwards they took them out. It's interesting. I think Kalman filters are definitely probably the way forward. I've always been interested in those. I don't know how many people know about control theory, but basically they're a predictive filter rather than just a frequency filter. So in theory, they should be better at filtering noise. Basically, any sensor that you have has a certain degree of inbuilt noise. It's just part and parcel with being a sensor. And so basically when you're doing flight control, when you're doing any kind of control, you have to figure out what's real in the signal and what's not real in the signal. Yeah, so there we go. There's PDLs. And sometimes that's harder than others. So yeah, the Kalman filters should, in theory, be better. In theory. But what happens in theory, or what takes place in theory, isn't always reflected in reality. So there's that. And I think that's probably what's going to happen with the Kalman filters, is basically the hardware that we have isn't fast enough to properly run the Kalman filter. If I remember correctly from what I was reading about the Kalman filter, and what happened is that they decided that it wasn't possible to run it on a lot of the boards today, and they were getting reasonably decent results with the I don't remember which filter they used now, but with another filter. So they dropped the Kalman filter in favor of the other 6000 board. Yeah, I think basically what happens is that it's just not fast enough. Really, you get the boards, especially the older boards, that aren't fast enough, or you have to overclock them, and that's not always good for the board. So I think that's what's going on with the Kalman filter. We'll see what happens in the future. I'm curious, once they get more processing power, what's going to change. I know the Pixlock, which is, I believe, an F4 processor, does run an extended Kalman filter, and it's running at 172 megahertz, something like that. But he uses an extended Kelvin filter principally for running location information. So, in theory, the boards we have should run that, but at least the F4 boards should run it. Don't know about the F7 boards. I'm curious about what they're going to do with the KISS 2. That's really interesting. That's an F7 board, if you're not aware. I'd like to get my hands on one, as well as some of the KISS 32 amp ESCs. Unfortunately, money. Hey, Flying High, how you doing? Nice to see you tonight. Yeah. Should hear less dogs in the background. We've got the window more or less closed, and less traffic noise as well. These little connectors I got off of Hobby King. No idea what they're called, nor I don't remember. JSTs, something like that. But they're insanely handy. Fairly small handle the amps, or the micro amps that you need for powering a flight controller. However, they need to be crimped, and you can you can do it without a proper crimping tool, but it's not as easy as one might hope. So I went out and bought this. This is a Connector PA09 micro crimper, and it works the treat for doing JSTs and things like this. It probably even does micro JSTs, the really small stuff as well. But since I've never had any of those connectors, I can't say with certainty. Certainly, I'm using this on the highest setting, the largest crimp. These are the Engineer PA09s, if you're interested. And they work well. And they're cheap. Fairly inexpensive. And being able to do your own connectors is quite nice. So if I really wanted to do this properly, I'd cut these down and recrimp them, make them shorter, so I don't have all the extra wire, or I could just solder them better at the ESCs, cut them down there. Anyway, it's one or the other. But if I was doing it properly, I'd do that. I'm not doing this properly. Ha ha ha. Yeah, there we go. Now we make sure with the ESC that we got that correct. So, ESC power board, that we actually put this in the correct way. Should go red. Positive on one side and negative on the other. If you're doing large crimps, large wires, sometimes these don't enter in properly. You kind of have to force them in. I have a little micro screwdriver, well, flathead that I can use to force them in and make sure they get well seated in there. These wires are fairly tiny, so it's not that big finish. And throwing stuff all over the place. Rock on. These are going to come up through here. Really good tonight. We're going to see this thing fire up. Won't that be exciting? Sanity check. Red on red, black on black. Red positive, black negative. Red positive, black negative. Good. Tonight, in terms of beverage, I have Cerveza Astral Patagonia Calafate Ale. That's my sponsor tonight. Tonight's build sponsored by Cerveza Astral Calafate Ale. Right. Now I always forget what the motor plan is. And I'm not even sure which one is which. Let's see. If I remember correctly, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me check. I was wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4. Thinking of clean plate. Well, clean plate is 1, 2. No, 1, 2, 3, 4. Weird. Anyway, yeah, I guess it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Correct, 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 correct. Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, have 1 here. Doing it this way certainly makes things a little bit easier than wiring it individually. It's not as nice, not as clean, but hey, it is flexible. So 2, this is 3. And this is 4. I don't like the location of this XT60, but for the moment it's just there for testing purposes. So there we go. KISS is installed. We'll install the crossfire receiver right now. And we'll see. So, Isle of Mull says, big success this week was 10-inch extension cable for the fat sharks to raise the pagoda up above the head. Really improved the FPV picture. One's head blocks the signal quite a lot. Yes, it does. If you lose a quad, but if your quad goes down and you don't know where it is, but you still have video, you don't have a tracker or anything like that, you can actually track the quad down using a directional antenna to more directional, the better. But an Omni works as well. It's just not as clean. And your hand. So you just basically take the Omni and wander around. I'll use a f2.4 here for example. Wander around and move your hand. Wave your hand in front of the Omni. And where the signal glitches, that's the direction where your quad is. Of course, you kind of have to be careful of, maybe you're glitching because your head is in the way instead of your hand. But usually if you move it and it glitches, that's probably due to your hand. This doesn't work so well on 2.4 because 2.4 is a little bit less subject to interference from water than 5.8, but it will work a little bit. But yeah, it's a top tip. And how did I learn this? The hard way, trying to find my quad stuck in the middle of a forest. Yeah, Yagi works as well. Directional really works nicely, but omnidirectional works as well. So, let's see here. Okay. If you're doing the crossfire and you want telemetry from the KISS, you want the first three here. So that's UART, and then you want aux1. And that will give you the telemetry from the KISS. I'm actually going to do that. Hopefully, one of the things I've got with me is the one of the things I've got coming is the TBS GPS, and I'll use that. I'll log that to the Taranis. So, in case the quad goes down, I should have a backup of where it is. Yagi 915. That's a good idea. That reminds me. Other things I got in. Remind me as I paw through prep. C-clips from Luminar replacement. C-clips for 3mm shafts. Very, very handy. A lot of motors use 3mm shafts. Look at the small little thing I got in. And what do we have here? Don't know if you can read that. I've even opened it up. What do we have here? A diamond antenna. So that got that in. Reminds me of another thing that I just saw this week. Hugo Chamberlain of True RC just released a directional 915 for the Crossfire. And it is 915. It's tuned for 915 megahertz. So it won't work very well on 868. But it is a directional, it's a Moxie antenna. And it actually looks pretty decent. So I'm interested in checking that out as well. So cool stuff. Lots of interesting stuff coming out this week in long distance. Yeah, what am I doing? I'm getting a Crossfire. I'm finding a Crossfire here. Somewhere I have a receiver. Hopefully. Don't mind me as I paw through my crap. So there's a receiver. Got an Immortal T. I probably won't use the Immortal T on this bird. Probably use the stock antenna. One nice thing about the QAV540, I don't know if you have noticed, but this part here is made out of glass fiber, not carbon fiber. And can anybody tell me the significance, what that means? Why that's interesting and why that's good? Anybody? 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 Pop quiz. Yeah, long range is definitely kicking off. I'm noticing more and more videos coming out where people are getting out. I like that. I think that's really good. I'm happy that people are getting out there and exploring. So this right here is a camera cable that I got from somewhere. But what we really want is a 4-pin connector, and that is a 4-pin connector, and that is the correct shape, correct size. Yeah, just bad coloring on the wires. So we'll change the wires around and make it all pretty. So, can anybody tell me? Anybody tell me why glass fiber is interesting? Nobody? Oh, guys, I'm disappointed. I am disappointed in you guys. Transparent. Excellent. Transparent. No, that's not very transparent. Fortunately, my knife has gone missing, and that's what I used to get these off. So we're just going to wire it the way it is. Laziness wins out. Yes, RF transparency. That is the great thing about non-carbon fiber, is you get RF transparency. Really good for FPV, really good for radio. Back in the old school, pretty much all the quads were made out of, well, not all of them, but a lot of them were made out of non-carbon fiber, glass fiber. QAV540 was glass fiber, the original. I don't remember if the ZMR or the Blackout was carbon fiber or not. I don't recall. The QAV was all glass. The QAV400, 540 were all glass fiber. Nope, definitely not, because it's stronger. Carbon fiber is stronger. But carbon fiber is lighter as well. That's the other big thing. Fiber is stronger and lighter. However, it is not RF transparent. So RF transparency is really good. That means you don't have any situations as you're flying where your quad is actually blocking the signal. A little bit of trivia for you guys, if you didn't know that already. Yeah, G10. G10 glass fiber. They actually had G10 arms for this as well. Not in the 540 frame or size, but in 520 and 500, they had the glass fiber G10 arms. And they have some advantages. They do a little bit better about vibrations. With the aluminum tends to transmit vibrations really easily. So, yep, trade-offs. One of my favorite books, or well, not my favorite book, but one of my favorite quotes from a book comes from "The Moon is a Harsh Mistress" by Robert Heinlein. And in it, he says, basically, there ain't no such thing as a free lunch. And sadly, that is definitely the case in just about everything in this world. I tell my engineering students, Kevlar I think is a block, I'm not sure. I know carbon fiber is because, I'm really messing this up here. Got a bridge between ground and positive. Too much solder. Carbon fiber is not RF transparent because it conducts electricity. So basically, I know I said I was going to wire this up the other way, but we're going to use the correct colors and then fix the connector. Yeah, so how antennas work, they induce currents. Or there's currents induced by electromagnetic waves. And basically when you have carbon fiber, you have electrically conductive material. At least this is my understanding. Please somebody correct me if I'm wrong. But you have electrically conductive material, and that just basically absorbs those electromagnetic waves. So they don't get retransmitted past that. So you induce the current in the frame, but the frame is not at the correct frequency, and therefore just basically absorbs everything you're emitting. G10 is not electrically conductive. And I'm going to leave you for a bit. I'm going to go grab my knife. I know right where it is, so give me a second, and I'll be back. I'll be right back. And we're back. And I have not. Yeah, so I don't think that Kevlar would have the same disadvantages as carbon fiber. As Al just said Kevlar can absorb water, and water is electrically conductive, which is partially true. Pure water is not necessarily electrically conductive. Distilled water, for example, is pretty inert. Salt water, on the other hand, is really nasty, which is why if you crash in fresh water, you have a pretty good chance of recovering your quad. Whereas in salt water, you can pretty much kiss your quad goodbye unless it's conformal coated. Another good point of trivia. So, now I got to put these in the right order. So basically, when you're doing this for telemetry on KISS, you want aux going to channel 2, your UART positive, or your UART going to channel 1 on your crossfire, and then you want obviously the 5-volt and ground going to the respective places. So, all connected up, and now we're going to live dangerously. I'm not sure where I put my battery. Around here somewhere, and we're going to test this. So, if I've done everything right. This shouldn't explode. No explosions. This being the first time that I played with this, just noticing here that the USB port for the KISS is kind of in an unfortunate position here. As you can see, it's hitting directly this standoff. Thankfully, we don't need that once we have the crossfire set up. It will allow you to tune the quad without ever actually having to plug in the USB. So that's a plus. Now we're going to plug in the crossfire, and hopefully that doesn't explode. I think I've got that connected up correctly. And look at that. Probably need to bind that and update that as well, but hey, we're good. We're moving along. Might actually get some motor action tonight. Yeah, I like it when there's no fire. You plug things in and things don't explode. Especially when I'm doing it live. Hopefully my tablet has power, so I can actually do this. If not, we're kind of screwed. You know. This is a cheap Techlast tablet, runs Windows and Android, and is insanely useful for doing stuff like this. Especially when you're out in the field. Instead of lugging a big keyboard with you, you can bring one of these with you, and it's much handier, lighter, and oh no, I don't have battery. %6 battery. Yeah. Hopefully it's got enough juice in it. Oh, and I probably need to upgrade the KISS as well, since this is the first time the KISS is run. Yeah, we might be able to get this. Maybe not. What bags do I use for my FPV travels? I have a Rush 511 24 that I use. Yes, my battery's very low. It's going to die. Unplug this. Unplug this. Now, trying to do this at the same time as plugging it in is going to be I don't like boot buttons by definition, so whoever had the idea to do boot buttons, and it would help if I had the USB the right way around. Yeah, so we're going to flash. If you've never done this before, it's a pain in the butt, but so you want the defuse demo. You need to put the boot button on, choose the correct file that you want. We are going to put on not KISS CC, but we are going to put on downloads. No, that's not it. KISS-FC 1.3 IRC30. I think that's right. I think that's recent. And no battery. That's nice. Defuse. Yeah, unfortunately, thus ends the flashing session. Put the thing to charge. Right, well, so we're stuck. No flying tonight. I don't think I have anything else that can flash this or connect to it. Let's see if I can connect to it with my phone. Yeah, at least I wasn't in the middle of flashing. That would have been bad. I don't think you can actually brick these, but it's still not a good thing to have happen. Let's see. We're going to get lucky. Not even powering it. Again. There we go. Never. Never lucky. Nope. So evidently I've got an older firmware on this than this can handle, so no, strike out. No joy in Mudville tonight. Anyway. So, well, we're going to leave it there, I think. Been an hour. I've accomplished just about nothing here. Yeah. Well, we got things reasonably ready to go. Once the Core PNP Pro comes in, and I'm going to spend conformal coatings for wimps. If I hadn't already heat shrinked the ESCs, I probably would conformal coat. Actually, I think the ESCs are conformal coated. But my opinion on conformal coating, it only helps in a few situations. There's not many situations where it actually does anything good. If you're flying around salt water, yeah, you want a conformal coat. If you're flying in snow, yeah, you want a conformal coat. Yeah, don't crash. That's the easiest way. No, I don't ever crash. What are you talking about, Peter? Crashing's for you mortals. Ha! Yeah, I crash all the time. But hopefully I won't crash this bird. Crashing this bird would be bad. Safety thing, yeah, it's a good thing to have. Definitely, conformal coating is a good thing to have. I don't tend to conformal coat because, like I said, it especially the FC is not really an issue. But right, okay, I think I'm going to leave you guys here. My beer's pretty much done as well. Hola Mauricio, sí, muy mala suerte que la batería del tablet murió, pero así son las cosas. Se pasan. So, while this is done, let's dive into what Chris Hazard FPV has sent me, and we'll take a look. See if there's anything good in here. Sure, there's good stuff in here, but so we've got here, it looks like a locator. Yeah, we've got a locator. How about that? And stick that on and see how that works. Thank you, Chris. It's going to come in handy, I'm sure. And then we have some LEDs and LED wire. EL wire. And of course, he sent me instructions, but I haven't taken a look. This is, I don't know if you guys can see that, facebook.com Project Light Rider. Mr. Hazard at gmail.com. It's Chris Martin. There's the guy behind it. Yeah, I don't think it's very far either, but as long as I get in the right location, who knows, maybe we'll save my quad. And we've got some little LED light strips here. Oh, those are nice. Nice and compact. They look fairly flexible. Got 4 of these here. Some wires for connecting them up, and it looks like a driver, and it comes in 5 volts in. So to run this, you're probably going to need like a back, either a back, almost, or a Pololu. I don't know if I got one here. Oh, 12 volt step ups. Evidently I need to make a purchase for Pololus. Yeah, so you need a 5 volt step down Pololu or something like that to run this. So that's its 5 volts. And you got on, off, and I'm not sure what else. You got maybe intensity, cycling. We'll see. So yeah, interesting stuff here. I'm gonna check it out this weekend. This is, I believe, EL wire, and this is kind of, I think, kind of an EL strip, basically for making your quad look really sexy or something like that. But yeah, so we'll check that out at some point in the future. I'll let you know how it looks, how it works, and yeah. Thank you, Chris, for sending this out. I'll have a play with it and see how well it works. Right, for now, I'm going to let you guys go, and I'm going to go as well. I'm going to finish up my beer, wait for my tablet to charge, and then hopefully flash the ESCs and maybe get this quad at least running, turning, motors, making sure the motor directions are correct, and all that. Right. So let's put you guys back here so you can see me. So thank you guys for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see you next week when I actually get all the rest of the components in for the 540. We put it on the scale, measure it, see how heavy it is, and I can tell you it's going to be over 1 kilo. And hopefully we'll take it for a fly in the next couple weeks. Right. Hope you enjoyed this. We'll catch you guys later. Ta-ta for now.